Hello, my name is Anne, and I work for the Henry Art Gallery, which is the contemporary art museum at the University of Washington. Today, I want to talk to you about the process that we call cataloging, which is when we gather all sorts of information about a work of art. Some of it might be familiar to you if you watched our video on museum labels. But when we do cataloging, we do a lot more than just collect the information that we put in a label. So in this video, I want to talk more about the rest of the process of cataloging. I want to show you our database and the information that we put into it. And then I want to talk about the actually hard work of describing a work of art. That may sound simple, it's not. So to get started, I want to show you our database, which is where we store all of this information. So this is our database, and I've pulled up just a blank page so you can see all the different kinds of information that we need to put in when a work of art comes into our collection and I create a new record. So every single piece that comes in has a record that looks like this, but with information in it. So we've got things like maker, that would be the artist, title, date, medium, credit line, that's who owned it and how it got to us. Location, subject, theme. These are all sorts of things that we have to figure out for the piece and then put in. So one of the first questions that we ask is, who made it? Who was the artist responsible for that piece? For instance, this work in our collection, it's a lovely photograph, and it was created by David Hart. So that's the name that we put under artist or maker in our database. Then what is it called? That's an important question. Let's look at this painting, and it is called Eucalyptus Trees. I assume that has something to do with these trees, which look like eucalyptus trees. Sometimes, though, a title might be a little bit less literal, like with this work of art that also has trees, but it's called Never Writer Again Closing In. So the artist had an idea that he wanted to express with the title, or that was a concept he had in mind when he was creating the work of art, and that's why he chose that title instead of maybe something a little bit more descriptive, talking about the trees themselves. Sometimes in a work like this one, which also includes trees, it doesn't actually have a title, so we put untitled in there instead of the name. Maybe it does have a title, we just don't know what it is yet. So that might take some more research, but for now, it is going by untitled. Then we also want to know, when was it made? Like with this photograph, when is it from? When did she take it? Well, that was in 1978. Sometimes there'll be a range of dates, either because we're not exactly sure when it was made, or because it took the artist a while. It was a bit of a process. So if it said something like 1976 to 1978, that might be either because it took the artist a couple of years to make it, or because it was somewhere in that range, but we can't pin it down closer than that. Then sometimes also we'll look at where it was made. Sometimes you don't know very much about a piece. The date range will be really wide. We don't have an artist, but if we have a location, that can give us some really important information about it. Like this one, we know it came from Peru. Then there's the basic categorization, like what type of work is it? This, for instance, is a piece of ceramic. So that helps us put it into a basic category. But what is it exactly? Like this work we know is a drawing, but what kind of drawing? Well, it's a charcoal and oil pastel on paper. So what it is specifically can be very important into how we store and treat that work of art, and that's very helpful information to know. And then with a piece of clothing, like this amazing dress, we want to know what was used to make it. Like this one is made of linen, silk, and feathers. Lots of very colorful feathers. And then how big is it? So that is really important. Partly because when you're looking at a work of art online, or when somebody sends you a picture of something, it's really hard to tell how big it is. And you're going to want to know how much storage space it's going to take, how big a wall you're going to have to hang it for display, and if you're going to need to put a frame on it, how big does that frame need to be? So this one, the actual exposed image size, so that's the photograph itself, is 25 3/4 inches by 37 1/4 inches. Then we also, because it is framed, we have the frame size in there so that we don't have to think about how much that might have added on to the picture. We already know. And then how many parts does it have? Well, if it has multiple parts, you want to make sure you have all of the parts. So you need to know how many to look for. Like with this skeleton of Bigfoot or Sasquatch, we want to make sure that all of the arms, legs, different bones are present and accounted for. So look, there are 8. We've got a couple pieces for the head, we've got the torso, 2 arms, 2 legs, and a finger. Don't want to lose the finger. So we keep them all labeled. They're A through H. All the different parts have a letter and they go together to make a whole. Another important thing is, how did we get it? So, for instance, this work of art came to us as a gift of Ruth Pennington. It's very generous. A lot of our works are donated to the Henry, which we absolutely very much appreciate. And we always want to make sure that whoever gave it to us, or the funds or whatever it was, the money to buy the work of art, that they get credit. So that's why we include that. So now we need to describe it. And I tell you, that is a lot easier said than done. One of the things that we do to help us be consistent, to have the same kind of words throughout all of our different works of art, makes it much easier to search, is that we use keywords. So we have a drop-down menu and we can choose certain words that will be the same across the whole database. So let's take a look at a work in our collection and see what kind of things we might be able to identify and mark so that if someone's searching for it, they might be able to find it. This is Winslow Homer's An Adirondack Lake, a painting from 1870. Now let's look at the painting as a whole, and it's this beautiful nature scene. So I'm going to call it a landscape. And then there are a few things in it that stand out to me that I'm going to mark using these keywords so that if someone's searching for it or something that has these basic elements in it, that they'll be able to find this work. For instance, there's this fellow here. That is a human figure, a male. So I'm going to mark that in the database. And then there's also this canoe, a dugout, I believe. And so I'm going to put transportation, boat. And then we've got this large thing, the Adirondack Lake. So I'm going to say body of water, lake. And then we've got a bunch of trees hanging out all over the place. So definitely want to put this in there so that if somebody is looking for something with trees, obviously this one should come up. And then if you look really closely, you'll spot a couple of these fellows. So I'm going to put, there's a frog in there. You never know, somebody might be searching for a frog. Okay, so now I have a little bit of a challenge for you just to talk about describing in general. So not using keywords specifically, but just to help you think, but just to think about how we describe something so that someone can really understand what we're talking about, especially if they can't see it. So I have chosen a work in our collection. It's a little bit different. And one really fun thing to do is to have someone who cannot see the picture. And then you're going to describe it to them. So we're going to look at this. This is a work by Claire Cowie. And feel free to pause with this screen up, make sure that they have not seen what you're looking at, and then describe it to them so they can have this mental image of what they think you're looking at. And then once you've used up all the words you can think of that might help them form this picture, have them look at it and see if they were at all close. I tell you, it's super hard, but it's also a really fun exercise. So pause the video right here and try it out with a friend or one of your parents or somebody else who's around, okay? Good luck. So how did it go? Yeah, good, maybe? A little tough, huh? So when you use all those keywords and you come up with a description and you put it in the database, for us, that is connected through some sort of computer magic to our website so that when somebody goes onto our website and wants to search in our collection, they can do that. So let's take a look at that and see how it works. So describing things can actually be pretty hard, and that's something that we think about because we want people to be able to find things with the words they use to search. And sometimes we might use different words like car, vehicle, automobile. They all can refer to the same thing, but different people might use those different words. So here we are on the collections page of our website, and we have this option to search the collection, which is a really fun thing to do. I love just putting in words sometimes and seeing what we have. So let's say boat. And we're going to get a bunch of works of art that show or include boats. Kind of like our canoe. We've got so many of them though that we're not going to keep looking to see if... oh, actually wait, there it is. Boat. And this is a work of art that was chosen by Aubrey, who went into our collections website and wanted to see a work of art that had some flowers in it. So she put the word flower into the search bar, and this is one of the ones that she found, and she really loved it. And it's a work by Ferris McReynolds, untitled Dark Forest 2002. It's acrylic on canvas. So if you have any questions about what else we do in museums, or if you want to share your favorite piece that you find in our collection website, please put it in the comments below or send me an email. My email address is right here. I'd love to hear from you. I would like also to send a special thanks out to Aubrey for helping me out and sending me her favorite work in our collection. And I hope that this was fun for all of you and you can think a little bit more about the words that you use to describe things and have fun with all these museum collections online until we can get back to the buildings again. Thanks for joining me today. Bye.